Welcome to Mind Body Monday, and thank you all for joining me. Today we are going to look at osteoporosis, the secret to its prevention and treatment. This is an aerial view, a 50,000 foot of some important pieces of the osteoporosis puzzle. So it's not an all-in-one. I was going to make this a three-part Mind Body Monday, but someone said to me, just keep it simple, give an aerial view. You are going to have some practical insights from today because that's my focus, always to give you something practical to take home and do. So stay tuned as we jump into the topic. So you're going to learn my 6 steps to having great bone health. You'll discover the science that links osteoporosis to gut health. You're going to learn how to take advantage of the gut-brain-bone axis. Yes, that's a long one. But the gut has many, many impacts on all systems in the body. And recently, I gave a Mind Body Monday on covering 6 of those main systems. So check out previous Mind Body Monday to look at the gut-brain, the gut-everything axis. So today, we're also going to discover why calcium alone is not the smartest move to help your bones. I'm going to share with you one unnoticed wonderful mineral to help you have strong, healthy bones and begin to reverse osteoporosis if you have it and prevent it in the first place. And then I'm going to show you one of my favorite tests to help get a better insight in what's the mineral status of your body and hence your bones. And then I'm going to share with you my one favorite exercise. So if you haven't already grabbed a pen and paper, this is a good time to do it. And let's get started. So let me share with you really 2 stories to kick off. And I always like to share stories from my practice. So I had a patient who came to me not too long ago. She was a 60-year-old woman who chose not to go on to conventional osteoporosis medical medications like Fosamax, etc., for a number of health challenges. For one, she had severe gut issues, and some of these medications can interfere with the gut. 2, she had a complex medical history that where she had to take long-term steroids, which compromised her bones, hence she reaching out to me. And some of these medications can also complicate that picture as well. Hence, she felt somewhat helpless, knew she needed to do something, and reached out to me. Well, I took her through my bone building program, a lot of which I'm going to share with you today. And 18 months later, when she had her bone scan done again, her GP was so aghast, her general practitioner who was overseeing her care was so taken aback at the success, the improvement of her T-scores, that she asked her what she was doing. Her doctor reached out to me, and I began the process with her as well to empower her and give her insight how she too can help her patients. So what I'm going to share with you works. It's not an overnight fix. It's not for everybody because it does involve a commitment, time, energy, effort, and resources. I want to share with you another closer to home story. There is someone near and dear in my life who is about 86 years old, and he was walking to work. Yes, still going to work and walking to work. And the pavement where he was on his way was jarred up. He kicked it by mistake with the tip of his shoe and fell flat onto his face. He called me shortly thereafter and said to him, "Avraham, you saved my life." So he's in England. So I asked him, well, how exactly did I do that? And what he told me is that all he felt when he fell onto his face was the pavement gently kiss his nose. What had happened, his hands were out to protect him. He did not fracture his skull, break his nose, dislocate his jaw, possibly his teeth, get a concussion, a brain hemorrhage likely, broken wrists. nothing. Just dusted himself off, thanked the one above, and gave me a call. Because this 86-year-old is my father, and he has been taking diligent care of his bones, his physical health for quite some time. And we fast-tracked it with some of these strategies that I'm sharing with you today. He does his daily exercises, his bone building program, his bone building supplements, and the proof is in the pudding. So I'm grateful to be here today and share with you some of these strategies. And once again, this is an aerial view. It is not everything. I wish I could do everything, but it will give you enough to get you started if you haven't already. So, people who don't know, osteoporosis is a disease of the bones where there's a bone mineral density issue. There's a loss of bone mineral density and a loss of bone mass. That means the bones become more porous. In my clinic, I show these incredible pictures of healthy bone matrix to my patients, and then what an advanced osteoporosis bone matrix looks like. And it is quite remarkable. It is very porous, and the bones are very, very easily broken through fracture. In fact, just 6 weeks ago, I have a dear patient of mine that rolled over in a Pilates class, just simply rolling from her belly to her back, and fractured her rib. She has a complex medical history and is just getting started on my program. But osteoporosis is serious challenge. In fact, there are about 10 million people over the age of 50 in the States who suffer from osteoporosis. Most of them are women, hence my calling out women today, and about 2 million are men. Now, about 43 million people, including 16 million men, have low bone mass and are at an increased risk for osteoporosis and fractures. In fact, according to the National Osteoporosis Foundation, they expect by the year 2025, approximately 3 million fractures a year will be due to osteoporosis. My friends, a big chunk of this is totally avoidable. I'm not going to be sharing more statistics about 1 in every 2 women over the age of 50 and what the statistics is with men, but it's shocking, it's alarming, and hence I'm wanting to really leave you feeling empowered, encouraged, and set for the road to advance your health on all fronts, but specifically here in your frame, your bone structure. So it's really important just to remind you from the get-go that bones are living tissue, just like our skin, our eyes, our rest of our body. It's living tissue and changes all the time. This means whatever changes you make today will benefit you, so to speak, tomorrow. It takes about 6 to 8 weeks in general for bones to remodel themselves fully. But the point is, whatever you do today will impact the health of your bones over time for sure. Now, the ideal time for laying down strong, healthy bone is in our late teens and mid-20s, up to the age of about 28 when the body is actively doing that. Now, I don't know many teens and 28-year-olds in that range who are actually thinking 50 years ahead, let alone thinking about the next day. But that's the time where if they were to be diligent and conscious and conscientious, they would be specifically engaged in bone building exercises. But the good news is if you missed that window then obviously the next best time is to start now, today, tomorrow, ASAP. Because bone is living tissue, you can make a difference. It may not be as quick as it was when you were in your teens or 20s, but certainly it will make a difference with slow and steady winning the race. So let me share with you some research about the gut-brain-bone axis. I know it's a long word, but it's such fascinating research, and I am very fascinated with the gut and how it impacts our health and what we can do to reverse chronic disease by healing our gut first. But there was some fascinating PubMed research that showed how important, what a critical role the gut microbiome plays in regulating bone mass. To me, that's really interesting. Who would have thought? Most of my patients, I'll get to that shortly, are taking calcium by the time they come to me because they've heard that's good for your bones, because bones are made of calcium, aren't they? So, but who's thought about taking a probiotic, or who's thought about taking or making your own probiotics? As we speak, I have 10 kilograms of my favorite sauerkraut brewing in my cellar with fresh ginger root and sauerkraut and all sorts of goodies. And that is part of my probiotic daily routine. But so rich and so new is this field that there's a new interdisciplinary field created that relates, that connects bone biology to the gut microbiome and the study of gut health. And they've actually coined a new term. So here it is, osteomicrobiology. That's a great triple word, Scrabble word for you. So it's osteomicrobiology, and it's the synthesis, the bringing together the research of how understanding bone biology and gut microbiology can really support one another. In fact, in the Lancet on rheumatology, they did some research with women who had low bone mineral density, and they showed by supplementing probiotics, it was reduced bone loss. Now, this won't necessarily be my first intervention with my patients, but it is a new budding angle to take advantage of, to leverage and get all the help you can for bone health. In fact, they even identified which specific strains of bacteria were most helpful for bone health. And they found that there was differences in hip bone density versus femur, that's our thigh bone density, and which probiotics strains targeted different areas in the body, which I think is so intelligent and so incredible. The creator who oversees all of this magic and mystery that is unfolding before us. So one of those strains is the Lactobacillus family, and specifically Lactobacillus reuteri, which is reuteri. Not all probiotics have them, but if you're going to get a probiotic, then you want to get those with a bone building angle to it, so to speak. I guess that's going to be a new marketing line for anybody who's watching Mind Body Monday to create the best probiotic for your gut. So watch this space. Bottom line is that having a robust digestion and a healthy gut in all of its domains, not just being symptom-free, be it heartburn or constipation or diarrhea or bloating or whatever your symptoms are, not only being symptom-free, but having a strong digestive system will lead to better absorption of all the foods you're eating, meaning you're going to get better mineralization of your bones, because you are not what you eat. You are what you absorb from what you eat. And that's why having a great gut and a whole routine around gut health will help you get bang for your buck. With each nutrient-dense spoonful you take in will actually be targeted towards building healthy bones in your body, because there's no compromise in the gut. So that's a sort of gut-bone connection. Let's take a regroup for a moment. For those of you who are watching and you are interested in the topic and you don't know yet what your bone status is, or if you do know what it is but haven't checked it recently, I want to share with you what I think your possible first 2 steps need to be. And this is born out of the understanding that you can only measure, you can only manage what you measure. So in my clinic, I'm big into doing lab work and all sorts of testing to really create baselines from which I can then compare and contrast future results against, and then course correct in the meantime if I'm not getting the results that I need to get with my patients. Otherwise, we're just working in the dark, and that's not really helping anybody. So the first test is a DEXA scan. This is a form of X-ray that looks at bone mineral density. You'll get something called a T-score, which is an average over a certain age. And this will tell you about your spine or hip or femur health, which is a general average over your whole body. With this DEXA scan result, you will then be able to have a baseline to measure future success against. The patient I saw in the beginning of my program, whose doctor came to see me as well, she came to me with very poor T-scores, and over the 18 months, they improved significantly, more so than I believe she would have had with medication. The medication can have side effects, but also it's been shown that it doesn't lay down a strong matrix of the bone. That is the interweaving of the various calcium and collagen fibers in the bone to give the strength and flexibility the bones need. And they may be stronger, but they're much more brittle. It's like a glass. If a glass is strong, you can't squeeze it with your hand, but if it drops on the floor, it can shatter in many pieces. So part of the strategy that I'm creating is to look for ways to strengthen both the 2 elements of healthy bone, which is strength and flexibility and stability, the ability to endure forces, counter strain on various angles, etc. So that's the first step, the DEXA scan. And this can be done through your local doctor and going off to do this test. The second test that I encourage my patients to do is what I call a hair mineral analysis, where a sample, about a teaspoon's worth of hair from the head, is taken, sent off to a special lab, and an entire mineral profile of the body is done. Let me share with you a screen share where you'll see what it looks like yourself. Okay, so here we have an example of a bone, of a hair mineral analysis. This is a sample report. You can see at a glance that I would like my patients to be in the higher end of what I'm calling the reference range. That's this open white area here, with no gaps along the mineral profile. Each column represents a different mineral: calcium, magnesium, sodium, potassium, copper, etc. And the bottom additional elements are more unknown, less common elements, but equally important for proper bone health and metabolic health. And I'll touch on 1 or 2 of those a little bit later on. Then there is something that is a bonus in the hair mineral analysis. It's toxic elements. It's looking at things like mercury, uranium, cadmium, lead, arsenic. These are heavy metals that we tend to absorb in our bodies as a result of being alive on planet Earth, drinking unclean waters, breathing unclean air and foods, etc. And these toxic elements actually get in the way of mineral absorption in the body and also proper metabolic function and brain health. So it's really important to identify what they are and to detox the body from them. Now, in this particular sample, you'll see that this mineral boron is missing here. This was what I identified in my patient that I told you about at the beginning. She came to see me and she had an under-mineralized body. This is largely because of her medical background and the cortisone that she was on, which demineralizes the bones, but also she lacked this mineral completely in her body. That gave me a quick signal into where I need to focus to help her the most, as I'm always looking for leveraged interventions where one small thing can make a significant difference. So that is a bird's eye view of the hair mineral analysis. It's an easy test to do. It's a pain-free test to do. It takes a couple of weeks to send off the lab sample to the States. We wait, we get a full report, and then we integrate the dietary changes and supplementary changes that are individualized, personalized, customized for each patient. It's a little bit like prescription glasses. You can either just get the -1 or -2, whatever your correction is from the local pharmacy, just pull it off the shelf. But if you're really interested in getting perfect vision, clear vision, especially if you have an eye challenge, sight challenge, you really want to go to an optometrist, take the guesswork out, get an eye test, and get the right prescription. And healing is exactly the same, specifically with something as sinister as osteoporosis, where there's no pain, there's no discomfort, there's just one day a fracture. And the research about hip fractures is absolutely astounding. What the life expectancy of a person over 60 of a hip fracture is, unless they do a lot of rehab work. And even with that, it's quite a challenge. So my focus is prevention wherever possible. So let's just summarize quickly. Your first 2 steps are DEXA scan to get a baseline of your bone density, and that you can schedule and really get done ASAP. The second, if you want a personalized profile of your general body's mineral situation, then I recommend getting a hair mineral analysis done, and then taking the recommendations from that. Because with my patient, she was deficient in boron. Boron helps in the body to prevent calcium loss, and it also helps other minerals being leached out of the bone. So it's really important. Now, as one of the highlights from today's Mind Body Monday, I said I would share with you one of the more unsung or unknown minerals for bone health. It's almost what I'll call the new kid on the block. And that has to be something called strontium. Yes, it sounds like a moon rock or something, but no, it's not. It's a mineral, strontium. And it's also picked up on the hair mineral analysis report, and I can see where a person's levels are. Now, strontium has been shown, there's PubMed research to show its really, really important role in increasing bone density and reducing the risk of osteopenia and osteoporosis. So it's a key mineral in the puzzle piece here. Now, most of my patients who come to me with wanting to help them build their bones, etc., are taking at least calcium or vitamin D or something. That's what the doctor gave them. And I think in general, that may be a good thing. I say may be a good thing for 2 reasons. One is they feel empowered that they're doing something. But that could be the problem. Because if the conversation stops there, it definitely is the problem. It's insufficient. Because if to fix the problem of osteoporosis or to prevent it, just to take calcium and vitamin D, guess what? We would have no osteoporosis in the world. Everyone would just take that. And if all those patients who are taking it certainly would see the results, and they are not. So it's not so straightforward as just taking your 1,200 milligrams of calcium and your 400 IUs of vitamin D or whatever it happens to be, and you're good to go. I wish it were that simple. But I'm here to really empower you to make better choices and to really cultivate strong, healthy bones. So the good thing is that they're empowering themselves by this taking something. The bad thing is they stop there. But if they don't stop there, then and they ask, well, if I'm taking this, then what else can I be doing? And they seek professional help from an integrated functional medicine doctor who really has a better perspective, a bigger picture perspective on all the various dynamics going on to help bone health. Now, just to give you an example, it's not so simple as just to take calcium and vitamin D. In fact, calcium on its own has been shown to cause many problems in the body, be it in the kidneys or calcium deposits in the flesh or in other places. And by the way, vitamin D is important for calcium absorption, but it doesn't necessarily direct it to where it needs to go. And therefore, another mineral is required. Now, just to give you an example, and I'll get to that in a minute, one of the bone building formulations I use has over 19 different nutrients within them. Each one is researched, each one is shown to target different systems in the body, and together they create a synergy to really support strong, healthy bones. And my patient I mentioned in the beginning and my father are both, at least at that time, on this formula. They were taking the highest dose, which I was able to dose them correctly because of getting the DEXA scan, because of getting the hair mineral analysis, and I was able to know exactly where to begin my intervention. So vitamin D is important to take with your calcium. You don't have to take it at the same time, but at least within the 12 or 24 hours that you take your calcium, you need to take vitamin D because it simply helps the absorption. However, vitamin D does not help direct control how the body is going to utilize this. So therefore, it's important to take vitamin K and the various forms of vitamin K. And you want to make sure you're taking the right form, because vitamin K, along with calcium and D, has shown to promote calcification of bone and also reduces the calcification in the soft tissues. And this is what I was referring to if a person just takes calcium, even calcium with vitamin D at the wrong types of D and D and calcium, they still could lead to calcium deposits also if it's at the wrong dose. So there's a lot of different factors involved, and it's important to put the pieces of the puzzle together so you can really build strong, healthy bones. So let's just do a brief summary before I go on to the next part, which is really talking about exercise. So the first step is to get your DEXA scan. The second step is to look at your general body mineral profile. And the third step is then to take intervention. Now, I'm not going on into a deep dive in nutrition. It really needs to be done. But having calcium-rich foods is helpful. But in nature, it's remarkable to see that calcium-rich foods, aside from dairy products, come with a whole array of the most amazing minerals that also work in a synergy, work together to build strong, healthy bones. So foods like tahina, sesame seed paste, for example, has calcium, has magnesium, has manganese, has phosphorus, and a beginning to a basis to build strong, healthy bones on. And as well, green leafy vegetables, they never just come with calcium. They come with calcium and zinc and manganese and magnesium and a whole array of wonderful minerals that also serve to help your bones. And the right nut mixes, certain nuts are better for bones. So there's a lot to talk about. I've spoken about testing. I've spoken about the gut balance and adding in a good probiotic. And then nutrition, it's something that you'll work with an expert to help you really target those foods that are best for bones. A lot of my patients are off dairy products because of lactose intolerance or because of some other gut inflammatory condition. So it's important, if this is you and you're not having dairy, to find alternative options. And there are, in my opinion, better alternative options. And I'll put a link I'll send you a link in the next few days of one of my favorite bone health smoothies, bone mineralization smoothies. So if that interests you, just raise your hand in the chat, say bone smoothie, and I'll send you that link as well over the next few days. So let's leave the world of testing, leave the world of nutrition, and look at the world of exercise. This has to be the most important element in building strong, healthy bones. In fact, maybe just as a precaution before I share with you about some exercise ideas, firstly, I recommend finding a professional trainer to work with, especially if you haven't exercised recently. The most important rule in any exercise program is avoid injury. That's number one, because injury can set a person back by days, weeks, or months. And in that inactive state, tremendous harm is done to the body. There's a loss of bone mass. There's a loss of muscle strength. And then a tremendous amount of energy and effort is required to get that back. And it could take as long as 3 or 6 months. So it's very important that you go slow, you go consistent, and you find the right exercise for your body. So everyone knows that weight-bearing exercises is the way to go for bone health. That means swimming is fun and fantastic, but it is not the best first choice for bone health. You actually need gravitational force going through your skeletal structure, your joint system. And that's exactly why, one of the reasons babies roll over, fall, and then walk. Not only is that the developmental stages, but it is how bones grow. When they are rolling over, they're getting pressure from the gravity on their little bodies. And when they're crawling, they're getting pressure from the floor and gravity through their little hands and wrists, through their thigh bones, through their knees. And this pressure demands of the bones. Hence, they're growing, their appetite, etc. And that helps them to lay down strong, healthy bones. And then eventually they get to walk, run, and jump, etc. And that also is fantastic for kids and their bone structure as well. So I'll just share with you some interesting research that just 15 minutes of daily exercise, the Lancet reported, can cut back deaths by 15%. Just 15 minutes of exercise a day can cut back death from all forms of morbidity by 15%. That's a small input for a tremendous output. Also, that amount of exercise will add at least 3 years to your life. 15 minutes of daily exercise done correctly will add more years to your life. So this is not only about having strong, healthy bones. This is about being around longer in a healthier, optimum, and vital state of mind and body. So exercise is really a culture. If you don't have the culture of exercising, then just see it as a tax you need to pay for being bodied in this world. And that's what the body needs to thrive. So find ways to do it that you love, you enjoy. Take music, take a friend, go to places to make it work, but find a way to make it fun and enjoyable, because something that you do that's fun, there's lastability in it, if that's a word. There's you will be able to do it for many, many, many years if you enjoy what you're doing. So once again, just a 50-foot view. I'm not going into all forms of exercise. I'm going to share with you my one favorite form of exercise. But part of my osteoporosis prevention program, and if you're working with a trainer, must be balance exercises, which are essential to avoid falling, because you'll be more stable. And then there are strategies to prevent falling as well. And all this is part of the extended program, but very important to find a professional to work with. And if you don't want to work on a long-term basis, at least have a few sessions, take copious notes or videos, and continue on your own if that's what you'd like to do. But don't let it stop you. I'd like to share with you my favorite form of exercise for bone health. Now, this is the one thing that NASA astronauts come when they return back to the Earth after being on the International Space Station or in outer space explorations. They need to do exercises in the shuttle, wherever they are, in the capsule. There's no gravity there, so a lot of the exercises with elastic bands, etc., and other systems, because if they don't have that gravitational pull on their body, they lose bone mass and can come back osteoporotic, especially if they're out there for 6 months, as they are in some of the in the International Space Station. So it's really, really important to take advantage of NASA's research. And NASA, when their space programmers come back, they don't give them swimming, they don't give them Pilates, they don't give them yoga, they don't give them jogging or any other forms, as fantastic as forms of exercises as that is for general health. But for bone building, they give them a graduated rebounding program. Rebounding is another word for trampolining. And it is a system where you bounce on a trampoline very gently at first, and it's done with utmost safety at first, especially with professional guidance. But this way, you'll be able to have that gravitational force, the G-force, 3 to 5, sometimes 7 times the Earth's gravitational pull. And if you do this 2, 3, 5 minutes a day, or even twice a day in the beginning of the program, do what I call the health bounce, which is when your feet never actually leave the pads of the trampoline. It's safe in general to do, but again, if you're a beginner, work with a professional, please. And this, in my experience, is the fastest way to get your bone health back. It also has over 31 benefits rebounding has, including metabolic fitness, aerobic fitness, lymphatic circulation, because our blood supply circulates through our body, through our heart. Our heart is a pump, and it pumps blood around the body. Our lymphatic circulation, which is an important circulation to clean and detoxify our body, has no pump. That means if you sit still, it's not working, and our bodies are filling up with various toxins. The only way to get these toxins out of our body into the lymphatics is through exercise. When we exercise, it moves the lymph through the body, and rebounding is one of the most powerful ways to activate the lymphatic circulation, to detoxify our body and keep us strong, happy, and healthy. I'd like to share with you a very short promo video I did as part of my 10-minute training in rebounding. So here comes the very short video clip of rebounding for those of you who'd like to know what it looks like. So that was a very short promo, and you see me jumping on the rebounder. That's not for everybody. It's only after several months of practice and getting the toes, the ankles, the knees, the hips, the spine all on board before you do that. But you also saw me sitting down, and that may be a first start for my senior citizens. I have them work with someone where they're sitting on the rebounder or on a physio ball and very gently doing this rebounding, which supports the spine and gives them that gravitational stimulation on the spine, which helps the bone building. So, in summary, I spoke about the gut connection to bone health and the new field of osteomicrobiology. I spoke about the 2 tests that need to be done, the DEXA scan, in my opinion, also checking out your bone mineral profile, your body's mineral profile through a hand mineral analysis, because you can only manage what you measure. And then I spoke about calcium is only one of many nutrients required to build strong, healthy bones. And I didn't go into the diet heavily, but there are a lot of very sound calcium-rich foods. Another one coming to mind is sardines with the bones. If you like those, it's a wonderful way to do it. In fact, my patients, I have them crush up the sardines, if you like that, with some green onion, not to use mayonnaise because of the hydrogenated oils, but to use a tablespoon of tahina sesame paste in there, mash it all up. It tastes absolutely delicious with some garlic and etc. And that is a very high source of calcium and other minerals which help the bones as well. Then I spoke about exercise, working with a trainer, and the importance of balance and the importance of fall prevention and injury prevention, and then ending off with my video on intro to rebounding. Hope you've enjoyed today's Mind Body Monday, and I look forward to seeing you next week on the next session of Mind Body Monday. And just remember, Mind Body Monday is all about self-care being the heart of healthcare. All you need to do is take one small step in the direction of health and healing in mind, body, and soul. See you next time.